All right, today we're going to talk about a company called Foodmandu. And this is an incredible story, really. It's about a startup that completely changed the food industry in Nepal, and it all kicked off because its founder was hungry and couldn't get lunch.
I mean, that's the big question, right? For any entrepreneur in a developing economy, it feels almost impossible. But Foodmandu's journey, well, it gives us a fascinating blueprint for how it can be done.
And the answer wasn't some grand vision for a huge tech empire or a super complex algorithm. Nope. As you can see right here, it was all about solving something way more basic. The simple, universal frustration of missing a meal.
Okay, so let's get into it. To really understand why Foodmandu worked, we first need to get the context. Let's set the scene for what was happening in Nepal way back in 2010.
So, by 2010, Nepal was just starting to dip its toes into the digital world. You had the first e-commerce sites popping up, the beginnings of digital payments, but with internet penetration at less than 8%, the whole ecosystem was pretty fragile. The idea of getting something delivered on demand was basically science fiction.
And this is where our story really kicks off. Meet Manohar Adhikari. He was a busy software developer in Kathmandu, and his biggest headache wasn't a bug in his code. It was the daily grind of being so swamped that he barely had time for a lunch break and often had to skip it completely. He thought, hey, if this is a problem for me, it's got to be a problem for a lot of other people too.
And that personal frustration, well, that became the spark for a whole new business. Let's take a look at how Foodmandu came to be and the huge challenges it faced right out of the gate.
And so, Foodmandu was born. Its mission was super simple: connect busy people in the city with their favorite local restaurants, all through one single platform. It was the very first service of its kind in the entire country, and it was aimed squarely at that problem of just not having enough time. But launching was a serious uphill battle. I mean, look at this list of challenges. They had to convince restaurant owners who were, really skeptical. They had to literally teach an entire market a new behavior. And with a tiny team and not a lot of money, building that trust felt like pushing a giant boulder uphill. It was a slow, tough grind.
So once they started to get some momentum, how did the platform actually work? Let's pop the hood and take a look at the mechanics of how they made it all run smoothly for both customers and restaurants.
From your side, as the customer, it was designed to be beautifully simple. Just 4 easy steps. You browse, you order, the system handles it, the restaurant cooks it, and a rider brings it right to your door. The whole key was making this feel totally effortless, hiding all the messy, complex logistics behind a simple, friendly app.
And for the restaurants, the process was just as straightforward. They submit their info, but, and this is so important, Foodmandu's team actually reviewed every single one. This wasn't just about adding any restaurant that wanted in, it was a curated platform. They were focused on quality and reliability, which was absolutely essential for building that early customer trust.
So, how'd they make money? Well, they were smart about it. They didn't just rely on one thing. They took a commission from restaurants on each order, but they also had listing fees, and restaurants could pay for advertising to get a little extra spotlight. And then, of course, there was a delivery fee for customers. This diversified model was really key to building a solid financial foundation.
Foodmandu's success was never just about delivering food. It actually had a much, much bigger impact on Nepal's economy and its whole digital journey. Let's just look at the numbers for a second, because they're pretty wild. First, their network just exploded. By partnering with over 800 restaurants, they basically created a new digital main street, giving all these small local businesses a way to reach a huge new audience they never could have on their own.
And did customers respond? Oh yeah! By 2024, they were processing an average of 2,200 orders every single day. That's not just a number. That's thousands of meals, thousands of convenient moments happening daily.
And all of that demand created some incredible momentum, a 40% year-over-year growth rate. Now that's the kind of number that tells you a company is going from a cool niche idea to an essential, mainstream service.
But, with success comes competition. So to stay ahead, they didn't just fine-tune their main business, they expanded it. They launched something called OneMart, a super-fast grocery delivery service. This was a brilliant move. They used the same riders and the same logistics network they'd already perfected to solve another big city headache, the pain of grocery shopping.
But look, this journey was not a straight line up, not at all. Foodmandu's resilience was tested again and again by major crises that could have easily taken down a lesser company.
Just take a look at this timeline. In 2015, they had to navigate a catastrophic earthquake and a national economic embargo. Then, in 2020, they got hit with a double whammy: a global pandemic that totally upended their operations and a serious cyber attack.
And that cyber attack was a massive test of their customers' trust. As this quote shows, the personal data of around 50,000 users was compromised. How they responded to that, how they fixed the problem, and how they communicated with everyone, that was absolutely critical to their survival.
So what can we learn from all this? When you step back and look at the whole journey, you can actually distill their success down into a pretty simple but powerful framework.
We're calling it the 4C framework. First up is customer centricity, building everything, and I mean everything, around the user's needs. Second, collaboration. They understood they couldn't do it alone and partnered with a huge network of local businesses. Third, convenience. At its heart, the service just solved a real problem by making life easier. And finally, continuity, their incredible resiliency, that ability to just keep going no matter what crisis was thrown at them.
When you put it all together, their story is really a masterclass. It's a perfect blueprint for how a deep understanding of a simple, personal frustration can become the foundation for a business that doesn't just succeed, but actually defines an entire market.
And that leaves us with one last thought. Foodmandu started because someone couldn't get lunch. So, what's that small inconvenience in your daily life that's just waiting to be solved?